we see higher taxes coming down the road. Maybe not right now. The current tax bill is supposed to last till the end of the year, and they're trying to extend it, and I hope they do.
And welcome back into the program. This is Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, here helping us make sure we are retiring ready. And of course, TJ Stearns Inc., your local resource for financial, investment, retirement planning, and management. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Stearns, CFP, Certified Financial Planning Professional, your experienced qualified advisor. TJ Stearns is the home of the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint. But on the program last week, this week, and maybe for the next couple weeks, we'll see, we have been talking about this Retire Ready Guide. It is 31 pages, packed full of information on how you can be more certain, more confident that you are retiring ready. Tim, it's an excellent guide and plenty to talk about here.
Yeah, Peter, I think people are so nervous out there about running out of money and things that can, what are my risks? What are my blind spots in retirement? And so I think these are even better than last week's because these are the risks. These are the things that keep people up at night. And I think it's really important to kind of get their eyes in front of it and make sure that they're covering the blind spots.
Absolutely, Tim. And we'll cover the 6 core risks that you've got outlined in the guide here. But I do want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like this guide, Tim Stearns has it available, can email out the digital edition of this guide right to you. So if you would like the Retire Ready Guide, 31 pages of information on how to be more confident into and through retirement, pick up the phone, give a call, and just request that guide. 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Or you can visit online, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com. And again, TJ Stearns Inc., home of the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint. That's where you find it. That's where you can get your written retirement blueprint, your Protect and Grow plan. And they do offer to put that together, no cost, no obligation for listeners to the program. And if you've got over $1 million, also receive a copy of the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. So lots of resources available for you here on the program and lots of reasons why you should take advantage of these offers and opportunities. The most important one being a more confident and secure financial future, but that starts with having the plan and understanding these risks. So again, the number to call to take advantage, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. All right, so with all of that out of the way, Tim, let's get into these 6 risks, understanding the potential risks to our retirement. Number 1, you mentioned it already, people are worried about outliving their money.
I think that's really the number one scare out there for people. 15 years ago, baby boomers took, different quizzes, surveys, that type of thing, like what keeps you up at night. And the number one thing, according to most of those surveys, was that they were worried about dying too young. But now, as they're morphing into retirement or they're already in retirement, their number one risk is running out of money in every survey I've ever seen in the last 5 to 10 years. So you're looking at, people are living longer and longer. They're living longer and longer without pensions. And, they're living maybe longer with, maybe something that 30 years ago would have killed them. They're still alive, but there's been advances in healthcare. There's better nutrition, and they're generally healthier lives. With that comes risk because you have a 401k, you have your IRAs, and that's kind of it besides Social Security. So what we're looking at is at age 65, for example, married couples have a 50% chance of one of them living to over 92. My mother is 95 and she's been retired for over 35 years. So you're seeing this happening, for people in real time, and it makes them nervous that they're going to run out of money.
Tim, surveys and studies show that this is a fear. I guess my question is, how much of a reality is this risk? Like, do people run out of money, or do we scale back to such a degree that we sort of self-impose a preventative measure on this actual fear becoming reality?
Uh, I think I think the fear overcomes any reality, and you're going to see people scaling back. You're going to see people, you know, really nickel and diming themselves, and and that's because a lot of them don't have a plan. They don't know what a safe amount is to take out every year, so they're sandbagging. They're sandbagging. What they're doing, and I've seen this a lot with people who've come to see us, is that they're creating a great legacy for their family by not spending any money, but they're not really enjoying retirement. So wouldn't it be good for them to have an actual plan? And the answer is, of course, yes. So that's what we do here, the Protect and Grow Blueprint.
Um, I've heard this. I don't know the truth of it. If it is true, a little gross, sad, scary. But I have heard during times of economic downturn that the sale of pet food actually significantly increases, and it's not because pets are eating better, Tim. Um, it's just I don't know if that correlates. I don't know if that's reality, but I have heard that from multiple sources, and that again, I think it speaks to that fear and that number one risk of what if we retire and then outlive our money.
Right. And so let's overcome that fear by doing something about it. Don't let inertia, keep you in a standstill. And the example I always give is people, are retiring and not spending any money. My grandma Stearns was like that. She never spent any money. And when she passed away, you know, even the grandchildren, which there's like 30 of us, got money. And I guarantee my grandpa Stearns, who died way before her, would have been mortified to see her not living her best life. So there's your other extreme where you're sandbagging, leaving the legacy. And then to your point, people eating cat food and that type of thing, my Lord, have a plan and
So
have that plan be concise and understood by everyone in the household. This is how we're going to get through retirement and we're going to sleep well at night.
a balancing act there, right? Is that we don't
Absolutely.
want to spend
In
too
the middle.
much, especially too early. It's kind of the Goldilocks scenario, not too hot, not too cold, just
Right.
just right. But without the plan, Tim, we don't know what just right is, and we've never retired before, and that can be messed up right from the onset of retirement. We've got to get it right. You've talked about it a different way, and I love your quote. You only have one shot at an ideal retirement. So we need to have that plan. And again, that's why TJ Stearns Inc. is home of the Protect and Grow Written Retirement Blueprint, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a call, request that. The Protect and Grow Written Retirement Blueprint is going to help you find that right sized balance for you and your situation of enough, of the right amount of income, not doing without because you're so worried, and not overspending and jeopardizing your future, but a written plan for your financial future, your lasting, enduring confidence financially. 800-640-2256 is the number to call. 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Now, Tim, risk number two, it's not our overspending. This one may be impacted because of the government's overspending. And how does the national debt play into concerns and risks for us personally and individually?
Well, let's take a look at how do you reduce current debt? You can have higher revenue, which would be to tax more, or they would do less spending in Congress. And I think we both know what the answer is there. We see higher taxes coming down the road. Maybe not right now. The current tax bill is supposed to last till the end of the year, and they're trying to extend it, and I hope they do. And Peter, you look, and we're currently over $36 trillion and growing in a deficit here. So I see them hiring, or higher taxes in the future, unfortunately. Those are things we need to account for in the taxable accounts that we're going to be pulling money out of, and that comes in the plan. We need to, for lack of a better term, price that in. That dollar that you think you're pulling out of your IRA is some of it's going to go to the government, and I think more and more of that's going to be, and that's why we work with our clients on tax diversification, which I think is so important. Roth conversions, having after-tax money in different vehicles that can behave better than the current IRA time bomb that we've all kind of set ourselves up for.
When you say address or account for the possibility of taxes going up into the future, Tim, what do you mean? What are you talking about? How do we account for the possibility of higher taxes down the road?
Peter, with that, you're looking at most of us have done a tax deferred 401ks, IRAs. What does that mean? If you've put money in an IRA or 401k, it has never been taxed by the IRS. So that when we pull money out, that will be taxed and some portion of that will go to the government. So you have to look at what's left over for you. So what we try to do is get ahead of it and mitigate taxes. April 15th is going to be on us in no time. And what do? We play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game. And what I'm saying is, this tax bill is coming down the pipeline that we've created for ourselves, right? So we need to be, adults about it and make sure that we're addressing it when you do the plan.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Protect and Grow Written Retirement Blueprint. That is the plan for a more confident, stable, secure foundation for your retirement, for your financial future, and addressing those variables, the aspects of generating income, and with income always comes taxation. How do we address the factor of the expense of taxes and that cost, and make sure that we are managing that and paying as little, keeping as much as possible? You've got to have a plan, and that plan is the Protect and Grow Written Retirement Blueprint. The only place you can get that is at TJ Stearns Inc. Pick up the phone, give them a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Risk number 3, Tim, something that we all depend on for retirement. It is a cornerstone of the foundation. Social Security. Why are we listing Social Security as the number 3 risk in retirement?
Well, I mean, as we know, it was 2034 that there's going to be adjustments made, because we're going to run out of money. It actually moved up to 2033, a year ago, and I think now it's back to 2034. Either way, it has its issues because there's a lot more people taking money out right now than putting money in. And it is your classic, basically a Ponzi scheme, right? So we need to make sure that something is done. And the longer they wait to make adjustments to this Social Security trust fund, the less issues or the more issues we're going to have, is how I should say it. And so we're concerned about that, and do I think it's going to be depleted? No, but I could see benefits being maybe trimmed down a little bit for those people that are coming up on retirement. I think the people that are already retired should be okay, but you never know. I would never want to be one who would count on the government to take care of me. So my goal is to get as much money as I can through my IRAs, guaranteed income that's coming in, that it's lifetime, like in the annuities that I own. That's where I'm going to shore up what Social Security won't do to me.
Yeah, Tim, Social Security, they've made adjustments in the past, right? And tried. It's still kind of a work in progress, because it used to be full retirement age was 65. Now
Yep.
it's 67.
Yep.
And there are people right now who have not even reached that age from the time that it was created to be that age, right? So 1960 till today, that's 65.
Right.
And so those individuals aren't even hitting full retirement age quite yet. And what I'm saying is we're still seeing this work in progress evolve, right? And so they certainly could make changes again to this system in the future. But to your point of not relying on the government to provide for us or set our standard of living or give us that financial stability. I know Social Security was intended to prevent poverty, but not to ensure lifestyle confidence all the way into and throughout retirement. And then the next risk is another place where people are sort of, I think, sort of mentally defaulting to the government is going to provide for us for Medicare and unplanned for healthcare expenses. Risk number 4 in your guide.
Right. I mean, a lot of people think that the cost of living adjustments that you see maybe in Social Security will keep up with the Medicare increase. We haven't seen that, unfortunately. So we're a little bit concerned about Medicare, and it has its own problems. One of the things we're proud of here is that we have, someone who's certified in Medicare that can meet with our clients and kind of get them through that, because that rabbit hole going down it by yourself can be daunting. And then the next thing that I would talk about with many people is the long-term care, which is basically if you are unable to do, bathing, dressing, using the toilet, that type of thing. Those are instrumental activities of daily living. And what happens with that is that, a lot of people think that Medicare covers it or Medicaid does. Well, Medicaid means that you've got next to nothing in your name. And, that's a very sad situation. Medicare does not help with long-term care. So what we're addressing with our clients is telling them you have a 7 out of 10 chance if you're over the age of 60 that you're going to need long-term care. Let's look at the different options that are out there. They're a lot better than they were for your parents. And 9 out of 10 people out there haven't even addressed that.
And
So
Tim,
that's what we're looking at.
not only have nothing to your name, but then allowing the government to be in charge of establishing and setting the level and the standard of care that we are going to receive.
Right. And you should never rely on the government for something like that. I've seen, Medicaid facilities. My grandparents back in the day weren't in the facilities, but there's a certain area that is, and the care that my grandparents were getting was a lot different than the people who had no money,
Yeah.
and no one wishes that upon anyone. So how do we fix that? Well, we don't put our head in the sand. We actually address that by either looking into the different options and saying, hey, I'm going to self-insure, which I don't recommend doing, or looking into the fact that there's hybrid products out there that can address this issue.
If you can
And
say you're self-insured, I mean, what a wonderfully confident statement to be able to make, right, Tim? But
yeah,
at the same time, like probably not the most efficient way to cover that potential need. If I've got, my house, it's paid for. I don't stick the value of my house in the bank in cash and say, I don't need homeowners insurance. I'm self insured. It just would not be the best way to go about that. And I feel like for a fraction of a percent of what that money is generating for you a year, you can protect the money that's giving you the confidence to be able to make that statement, right?
right. And think about what you just said. There's a 3 in 1,000th chance that you'll burn your house down, at some point in your marriage or your life, whatever you want to say. And everyone has home insurance. And you're looking at a 7 out of 10 chance that you're going to need long-term care. Self-insurance, is I guess good, but I think that it's really rolling the dice. Especially, we had a gentleman come in the other day and his poor wife had a stroke and has been in a home for 4 years at the age of 50. How do you plan for that? Well, if he had long-term care on her, it would have been a different story. So these are things that we try to make sure that people see their blind spots, they address them, or they at least say, yeah, I'm going to leave that blind spot, there and hope for the best, which I think is absolutely crazy.
And that healthcare, Tim, continues to cost more and more, as does everything else, which is why risk number 5 that every plan must address, and what is addressed in the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprints that you and your team design for proactive savers and investors there at TJ Stearns. But number 5 is inflation. And I just want to remind you before we discuss inflation and how unfortunately a lot of plans don't address that. You need a plan that addresses all of these risks, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint. You can get that only at TJ Stearns Inc. Give them a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. It is a plan that addresses a number of issues that are not addressed by your financial tools, by your 401k, by your brokerage account, by the investment accounts that you have. Don't address these risks, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you need to bring it together in the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, which again, things get more expensive over time, Tim, and a lot of people do not have a plan that addresses risk number 5, inflation.
Right. Just to put inflation in perspective, $5,000 today at inflation rate of around 3%, you would need $9,030 in 20 years to buy the same bulk goods, let's say. So again, let me say that $5,000 today in 20 years, I need 9,030 to get the same amount of goods. So we are always talking about the silent thief. Our inflation is what we call our inflation, demon out there, I'll call it. And so we build that into the plan to make sure that people are understanding that your dollar today, needs to double within 24 years to make sure that your money is going to be worth the same amount. And if you don't have that built in, you're going to be missing out on a lot because you're going to not have enough money.
It's not even the things that get more expensive, Tim. If I think back 20 years, now granted, I'm in my mid 40s, so 20
Yep.
years ago there were things in life that I was just not having to address quite yet. But how many things have been added to the budget that I was not even thinking about 20 years ago? Cell phone bill,
Yep.
internet bill, right? Identity theft protection. And over the course of the next 20 years, I'm certain that there will be more things. I can't even tell you the number of subscriptions that have been added to my monthly budget and expenses that I wasn't thinking about 10, 15, 20 years ago. So it's not just the things that get more expensive. It's all of those things that we add because convenience costs more money.
Yep.
And we like the convenience factor of life.
We love technology, but with that comes a price. And you see people maybe shaving down on their cable bill, but their phone bill's going up. I mean, it's a give and take. So we are just trying to show people that inflation is the silent thief, and it needs to be priced into a plan. The money today will not buy the same amount of goods in the future, and you need to stay up with that. And if you have a person that is supposedly watching your money, being a money manager, that is great. But what you need is a planner that's going to take into effect taxes, 401k, volatility in there, IRAs, all those different things, and including inflation. And that's exactly what we're doing. And make sure that you're pulling Social Security at the right time. What do you do with that old pension that you have? These are all the things that you're looking under every rock when you do a protect and grow blueprint.
Well, again, if you would like that protect and grow written retirement blueprint for you, for your specific situation, designed for you. That's the blueprint, ladies and gentlemen. Available only there at TJ Stearns Inc. with Tim Stearns, CFP, Certified Financial Planning Professional, helping to construct that plan, helping to implement that plan, helping to monitor that plan on an ongoing basis if you choose. Like you need to have a plan that looks at all of these aspects. And I am certain that most people do not have such a plan. So pick up the phone, give a call, set up a time, the conversation, the review, the strategy session, all of that, no cost, no obligation, completely complimentary basis to get your written protect and grow retirement blueprint. 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. So Tim, we've covered a number of specific risks. Risk number 6 sort of is all encompassing everything else, right? This is everything plus the kitchen sink, but it's so much that we have to worry about these days.
Right. I mean, number one right now, I would have to say it's market volatility. We've talked about this on the show so many times that market volatility, you cannot invest right now like you're 40 if you are 60 years old and you're getting ready to retire sooner than later. And what we're seeing is people really licking their wounds because they've been too bold in the market. So market volatility would be a thing. Cybersecurity, where people's identities are being stolen, and along with that comes the data breaches. So make sure that you're shoring that up too. We have different clients using all these different services. LifeLock, Experian has different things. I'm not endorsing any of them. I'm just saying keep an eye on your credit rating and all that type of stuff to make sure nothing's no funny business is going on there. And then you look at geopolitical risk. We're still worried about a 3-year-old Ukraine war affecting us here in the United States. And of course, luckily it's 5 years ago and it's kind of in our rear view mirror, the pandemic, but it still has aftershocks, right, that we are dealing with.
Kind of always shows you that there's going to be a curveball. You never know what to expect next, right? And it could be completely world altering.
Yes.
That was certainly an extreme example, but we are still seeing the after effects. I mean, a lot of the printing of money, the stimulus is in direct now causation of the inflation that we saw, which then was adjusting of the interest rates. So the ripples continue to extend out from that incident, right, Tim?
Oh, absolutely. And so you need to make sure that you are ready for the unexpected. The way I did that is that I made sure that I have guaranteed income when I go to retire. That the market be darned, I don't care if it's up, down, or sideways. I'll have guaranteed income that goes along with my wife and I until, we're not here anymore. That's the stuff that we make sure in my family that we did. And that way, these random different things that could happen to your portfolio aren't going to affect me as much.
Well, again, you've got to have a plan in order for those things not to affect you as much. In order to have lasting financial confidence, dependability in your lifestyle and the funds that you have, the investments that you have, their ability to support that lifestyle, that is the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint that TJ Stearns Inc. and Tim Stearns CFP put together. And you can find it there at TJ Stearns Inc. And again, you can call and start that process, start that conversation, no cost, no obligation for a complimentary review, retirement planning strategy session, and to get the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint put together for you for your situation. As well as, if you've got over $1 million, first 10 callers to the program today, get a copy of the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, which addresses many of the risks that we discussed on today's program. If you would like to take advantage of those offers, those opportunities, or if you would like this guide that we have been referencing, the Retire Ready Guide, again, pick up the phone, give a call now, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, there's plenty more in this guide. We will continue to reference this and offer it to interested radio show listeners, podcast viewers that are taking their planning and their financial future seriously. And if that's you, give a call, request the Retire Ready Guide and the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, 800-640-2256. Tim, always appreciate the time and the information that you share.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.